Okay, I'd like to call this meeting to order. Out of respect, please silence all cell phones and remove all hats. Is there anyone taping, any member taping? Yeah, okay. Who else?
Millie.
And Peter. Okay, would everyone please stand? We'll do a moment of silence and then the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we need to get the board's approval for the minutes of August 21st, 2024, which I believe may have been corrected. Richard? Okay.
I make a motion to approve the minutes as corrected from August 21st, 2024.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Comments?
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nice and high, raise your hand.
Nice and high.
I can see you. Thank you.
Welcome. Okay, minutes from the directors' meeting on Wednesday, September 18th, 2024. Does anyone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from September the 18th, 2024.
Second? All in favor?
I'm sorry.
Aye.
Who seconded it?
I did.
Okay, thank you.
No, Jane, are you going to take the correspondence? Are you, okay, thank you.
Can you actually? Okay.
Okay, okay, if you can't, we'll do it for you, because I know you're got a problem with your
right, there's a letter from,
Speak loud.
yeah. A letter from Joyce Perna and Karen Kessler, link. We are requesting an additional monthly night of Bunko. This group will be called Bunko Night, Let's Roll. This will be open to residents only. We are requesting room B on the second Friday of every month. Bunko will start at 6 p.m. We will be needing 4 square tables with chairs. The cost of Bunko is $5 per person. All monies collected will be going to prizes. We have spoken to Patrona Thurman on September 16th and have advised her of our request. Any questions, please call Karen Kessling, President, and Joyce Perna, Treasurer, and they gave their phone numbers.
Okay, can I ask? Is either Karen or Joyce here? Okay, I noticed here that, you're requesting room D on the second Friday of every month to start at 6. We have bingo here every Friday night. The ladies start coming in around 2:30.
Right, but people should go on the Bunko on the third Friday of every month, Bunko Bays, and same time, same room. In a different room, it's not here. That's true, I got it.
Okay. No, I know that. I just didn't want, people coming there and didn't know what was going on, but that's okay. Thank you.
Jane, you have the bottom part, read? The very bottom of the letter?
I make a motion to allow an additional night of Bunko open to Brookridge residents on the second Friday of each month, starting at 6 p.m. Any second?
Second.
Any
All in
discussion?
favor?
Discussion?
Any discussion?
Discussion.
Don't forget, it's motion, second, discussion, then vote.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Any discussion?
Okay.
No discussion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, hands back.
Aye.
Everybody, thank you.
Aye. This is from the Veterans Committee. The holiday season is slowly approaching. We, the Veterans Committee, are requesting approval for the community involvement of the Marine Corps Annual Toys for Tots program. We would like to place drop-off boxes within the admin building as well as the community clubhouse during the holiday season. The year of 2023, the program serviced 2,746 Hernando County children and distributed over 13,500 toys. Again, significantly up from the year prior. The year of 22, the program serviced 2,680 Hernando County children and distributed 12,541 toys. The year of 2021, the program serviced 2,276 Hernando County children and distributed 8,793 toys. I have been informed of the desire to break last year's numbers. The program desires toys for children 0 to 12 years old. I have been informed that the greatest need is for the children 12 years plus. The Marine Corps organization cannot distribute any clothing. No clothing, so toys only, please. We will be picking up the boxes starting the week of December 4th. Primary contact is Thomas Freeman, 352-942-3156. Secondary contact is Sally and Bill Litchfield, 352-606-8262. Thank you for your attention to our request. I make a motion to allow the Brookridge Veterans Committee to place the drop-off boxes for Toys for Tots program at the admin building and the clubhouse during the holiday season. Discussion.
Who's a veterans committee?
Who is? Thomas Freeman
I'm
and
the
Sally
chairman.
Village to
I'm the chairman of the veterans committee. Fred Hoff.
Fred Hoffman.
Did you vote, your committee of one? I think it's all our committees. It's all right. If you like to join. Or no, I'm the man. I know you.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye. This is a letter from Donald Lowry. Having been a representative of Touche Ross Management, today is Deloitte. I found the subject matter disturbing. A certified public accountant is a licensed professional. The licensing, much like an attorney's bar exam, is a uniform examination administered by the American Institute of Public Accountants. This exam is in 4 parts, with the first 3 being mostly technical, and the 4th weighs in on integrity or rules for honesty to the client. This includes among many slights, competence and fraud. To be a CPA in Florida, you must pass the 4-part test. A forensic audit, in most cases, is called by a court of law. When not called by a court, such as an audit, is used where fraud is known and it is needed to know the total financial impact, immediate monetary and impacted future losses, along with establishing culpability of the fraudulent. The forensic audit intention is to bring about court action, whether civil or criminal. The board membership's primary function is the overseeing of Brookridge's finances. Calling for a forensic audit when the previous board treasurer found multiple accounting errors through posting causes me to question if the board even knows their primary duty, since a CPA has been doing Brookridge's audits since its inception. Discussion.
I do have a question myself. Are the CPAs we're using, HOA CPAs, actually specializing in working on HOA budgets and that? Or are they just plain CPAs that would work for, anybody, any business?
The CPA that we presently use is an HOA CPA.
And Linda, is that Affinity?
Pardon?
Is that Affinity? Our CPA?
Affinity is the auditor.
Okay. Who's that?
Jones and Company is the CPA. What? The CPA, Jones and Company? I have no idea.
I'm just asking because
I'm looking at the letter and it says that it's from Donald Lowry, but it's talking about a different management company. It's also stating that today they're called Duluth.
That's who he works
That's who he works
Works
for.
for.
Okay. That's why I'm confused. There's too many company names. Thank you. Okay. I'll do it.
So I'm happy to weigh in. since being on the board and even before being on the board, I've heard a lot of very interesting stories about potential missing money. I can't speak to where, how, when, but it isn't helpful that we are still missing a completed audit for 2022 and a completed audit for 2023. And honestly, I just haven't had time to look at the last completed audit, which I believe was in 2021, or even the audit before that. And I've heard interesting stories about monies missing. So a forensic audit doesn't have to be as big and scary as maybe it can sound. We can limit the scope very specifically on what we're asking a forensic auditor to look for. And I don't think our intention is to say we need to have a forensic audit because we don't have an audit for the last 2 years. I've been asked multiple times, do I think we should have a forensic audit? And honestly, it's hard to tell when you don't have completed audits in front of it to see if, are we really missing money? But I've heard some wild stories since being here, and the stories go back to 2021, 2020. And so just hearing some of the things and not having completed audits, I probably wouldn't recommend a forensic audit in totality until we can get some completed audits for 22 and 23. So there's probably a little moment for pause until we can get some more information about our audits. That's my 2 cents on a forensic.
Mike Einsberg, Unit 2.
You want to come up here? You're gonna be on
Pardon me?
mic.
Did he fill out the sheet?
Mike Einsberg. Mike Einsberg.
All the way up. Okay.
Mike Einsberg, Unit 2. I happen to have been on the Finance Committee for about a year plus, and resigned on, as my letter states, on June 29th of this year. Tendered my resignation.
Stop. No, I can't
Okay,
hear you.
I'm sorry.
I can't even hear him.
But I tendered my resignation in the Finance Committee because of malfeasance of the Finance Committee. Just so you know. The letter that went out on June 13th did not have any approval that I'm aware of. I'm sure Jim, maybe Resident Bees, would not have approved that letter going out to the public. And so I resigned. As far as this letter from this gentleman today, he's absolutely correct. By the way, I am an accountant. I have a degree in finance. I have a bachelor's degree in business management. And I've also been an officer of a Fortune 500 company in charge of their accounting. There is no one anywhere, no auditor workers that will take on a forensic audit based on the books that I've been involved with in this city. There isn't a need for an audit. What you need for is to balance the books going back 3 years. And nobody's put the plan together to do that. That's my opinion. And Jim was getting there, got there, many rest in peace, because he started with the lowest hanging fruit, which was the reserves. And he did a very good job for us, made us some money, put money where we know it's going to make the maximum amount on behalf of us. And it also is most important to us because that's our future. If we don't have reserves, and he knew he had to do that, we need those $2 or $3 million of reserves in there to make sure that facilities are right, the roads are right, and they get things. The roof is replaced, the guard shack is replaced. That's all good things. So he went for the lowest hanging fruit. He and I discussed this before he passed. And I also was a member of the committee when a forensic auditor was brought up, and I says, no forensic auditor, including myself, because I am an auditor as well, would touch that until the books were balanced and audited. The reason your accountant is having problems in every year since I've been here, since 2000, the reason, because our books are out of balance and never have been closed on an annual basis, and no adjusting entries by the accountant, the CPA, have ever been done. I'd like to correct, our CPAs are generalists CPAs. They are not specialists. I'm sorry, Linda, but that's the facts of that. They don't just exclusively do Jones.
Oh, no, they do other, but they do
Well,
HOAs.
they might have other clients, but they don't specialize.
Can I have a point of order, please? I hate to disturb the meeting, but this is a business meeting. This should not be going on right now. Okay, that she read a letter of correspondence and it drops.
Thank you.
Okay, just information for the people here.
Thank you.
If they want to speak for member comments, they're more than welcome to. Thank you.
Kelly, you're the president. Give us your fee. Vince is not the president.
He's coming up. Okay. The president, because we were asked to, by one of our residents, sometimes when they're viewing it on video, they can't see us up here or they can't hear us. So we were asked if when we're speaking, just to say who we are, even though you guys know who we are. Okay, this was brought up, but we will take comments at the end of our meeting.
Don't let me sit down.
Not now. I know, but it's not, you'll have your chance. Just keep the thought in mind. You'll have your chance. Thanks.
Okay, we have letters from some residents who were on the finance committee and have resigned. So I will let you know the names. If you want to see the actual letters, instead of reading all these letters, they're available to you. Mary Astori, Barbara Hardy, Philip Renard, Paul Harrison, Paul Campbell, and Mike Minesberg. No one at this point. We're gonna have to put that open to the community for volunteers. So we thank each and every one of you for your contribution.
We don't already read them. We didn't hear any questions. Why did we hear this?
Okay, if anyone wants to see these, you can, but we're not going to read them here at the meeting. And also, I want to thank the audit committee chair, Linda, Mary, and the rest of the work that you have done for the last several months. I appreciate what you guys have done. Thank you so much. Thank you very, very much.
And as the treasurer's report, last night at 5:46, the auditor emailed me a draft of the audit for 22 and 23. I will give you a few figures. In 2022, we had a deficit of $94,735. In 2023, we had a deficit of $253,700. $695. We're in the red. That's the figures from the auditor. Because, the bookkeeper I worked hard with the bookkeeper and the auditor since I've been treasurer in June. There's been numerous emails back and forth, phone calls. If Arlene hadn't been on the checking accounts in 23 with Jim and Debbie, I wouldn't have been able to get bank statements that were needed so that they could balance out the books. The general manager has to sign them, send it back to the auditor, and then he'll be sending the final audit, and everybody will get to see it.
The monthly balance sheets.
Huh?
The monthly balance sheets, will you be able to see that?
You can request reports at the office. 25 cents a page is what they cost you.
Linda, will you be sending out the audit to the board members so we can review this?
Arlene's got a copy of it, emailed to her. She'll be sending that out.
That'd be great, thank you.
Linda, could you repeat the 2022 and the 2023 figures, please?
Pardon?
The figures. Wants to repeat it.
22, $94,735. 23, $253, or $253,695. As of December the 31st, 23 and 22, there were approximately 223,000 and 168,000 respectively of delinquent owner account balances. The board determined the collection of approximately 102,000 and 47,000 of these delinquent balances, respectively, probable, and has recorded these as assessments and fines receivable on the balance sheet. The collection of the remaining approximately 121,000 of delinquent owner account balances is considered by the board to be doubtful, and therefore they have been included in an allowance for exception credit loss. These amounts relate to prior year assessments and fees and have no impact on the current year. As of December the 31st, 2023 and 2022, the operating fund owed replacement fund, which is the reserve account, approximately $213,000 and $140,000 respectively. The association intends to fully eliminate borrowing from the reserve account. There were accounts that I've questioned for years about the social clubs that were showing on our balance statements, that money does not exist. He did zero those out. Those will no longer show on our balance statements. Richard, you said that I didn't do my due diligence in getting the audit. Well, as of tonight, I resigned from the board of directors and treasurer because of health reasons. I have 100% blockage in my heart, and I don't need the stress, and I don't need the drama of this board.
Thank you, Linda, for your service. Yes, Linda, thank you.
You're welcome.
We greatly appreciate it.
A lot of people in here don't appreciate it. I've done a lot of hard work over the years for this community. 400 and some odd people voted for me. I appreciate their vote, but I'm not putting up with this. Somebody coming in and trying to change our balance, and the finance committee worked hard on it. And I had a guest speaker set up for tonight to talk to us about the computer situation, and I found out this afternoon that another board member would cancel out.
Can somebody just shut off our mic, please, so it doesn't feedback? Like that?
I have a comment from Jill Mall Campbell saying there should be monthly financial statements posted to the website. Jerry Kraft says you can't hear.
It can't hear us. Thank you, Ben. All right, can we continue, please?
You know, how do you follow something like that? Ooh, not good. There are many, many people that live in our community, whether they sit here or whether they're out in the audience or whether they're home listening to this. We all have our place in what we do and what we say and how we bring a community together. Sometimes you'll agree and sometimes you won't. It's your choice. But how do we keep a community going forward when there's so much dissension within certain groups? We're supposed to gel together, and right now we're not. This was a surprise for me, and I know she worked her ass off, and I know she did. But I'm sorry to see her go. I'm sorry for, the disbanding of our finance committee, who worked very, very hard. There's no words to explain how you feel about things when things like this happen, especially when you're in communication with these people, your members all the time, on the phone or in person. It's tough. It really is tough. I'm for one that don't like to see this happen to anybody. All right, on another note, okay. I'm going to bring up about the brush. Okay, you guys have to understand about what the hell is going on here. We had a major hurricane, okay? And unfortunately, there were some homeowners, maybe 40 or 50, I'm not sure how many, have gotten some really bad damage. I heard of a homeowner, I don't know what street he lives on, they just had a new roof put in 2 weeks ago, gone in his yard. And I rode around almost all of the streets, and some are worse than others, but we're here. We're here. These things can be replaced and fixed. And it's just gonna take time, bringing up the brush. Okay, Vince and his guys, they're going street by street. But the only thing is they're encountering is that, and there was a situation the other day, because I've seen it myself. We're not gonna pick up people that have had trees taken out. I mean trees. We want from the debris from the hurricane for the branches, not trees. And they're not gonna do it. When are they gonna come around? Well, it's Vince and two guys for this entire community. You just give them a chance to get there. And any of you strong guys out there, if you want to volunteer and help Vince, let us know, because he can use all the help he can get. But right now, please give these guys a break, because they're doing everything they can to pick everything up. I know that there was a a hotline for Hernando County. And I think several residents have called, and what they'll tell you is that they'll take your name and your phone number, but they cannot give you a date on when they're going to be here. So that's another thing that you have to deal with. So I know it's unsightly, but you know what, guys, there's nothing that we really could do at this point. We're trying everything. Vince, thank you so much, Vince. You and the guys, really, thank you very much. And I know everybody here understands that, so really, guys, just give them a break. They will be around. Okay, Vince, go ahead.
As of last Friday, Billy asked me to, and of course, the three of us volunteered to get this done. Because I knew how long it was gonna take for Hernando County to come in, much like the last time when Irma came through. It took them almost 2 months to get everything picked up and out of here. So I've been on the phone with them also, and I've actually talked to a couple supervisors. Once we get on the list, which are on our list to get done right now, they're out there at different communities south of us that got hit harder than us. As they move further north, they'll get to us. But what my goal is to clear the streets so it's not in front of anybody's yard and affecting their neighbors. And like when we get winds or rain or things like that, it won't be, spewing out into the street and stuff like that. So the golf course and I want to thank the golf course tremendously about letting us use their truck. It holds 3 times the amount of brush versus our trailer. And I'd like to thank them very much. I'd like to thank the 3 volunteers that we had Monday and Tuesday. But for the most part, we're segregating areas throughout the park where it's very easy for a truck with a claw to come in and load this stuff, which is on BCPO property and or golf course property. And you'll see over on Midmore, you'll see a big line of brush in the back there. You'll see some over on on Fleetway, right around by Dickens. You'll see over on 7 Acres, there's a big line, and all that brush came out of that area, basically. Anything basically south of the clubhouse or Midmore was over there at 7 Acres. Okay, there's probably a good 20 or 25 loads of just brush, and a couple big trees. So thank you very much for everybody, saying thank you on the road, and just if you going forward, if you have brush out there, that please don't pile it up with a bunch of leaves. I'm not going to be picking up leaves. I'm not going to be picking up bags or emptying cans. It's just basically things that happen through the storm. If you can bundle them, please bundle them. That's all I really can say. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Can anybody hear me? Get a good nod. I just told Millie I can respond to the treasurer's report, but I'm not in a position to review it for anything other than, I don't know if everybody has copies of the treasurer's report. If you'd like copies, we'll get them for you. If you want to come up and let us know after the meeting, I'm happy to put that together for you. There you go.
Just one second. Okay. We will have copies. Any residents would like to have copies of the budget. Go to the administration office tomorrow morning after 10. This way it'll give them time to print up, we have about 50 or 60 copies of the budget. So budget will be available to you tomorrow. Okay, guys? Thank you.
So the next agenda item is to review the budget with our members. So for this process, I'm going to get up in just a minute. We'll turn the lights down so you can see the screen. What we've done is we've put each of the pages of the budget together so you can see it. So we'll also try to open it up for questions as we go along. In that Linda isn't here to answer all of the specific questions. I'm happy to weigh in on the information I'm aware of. Additionally, Roberta's going to operate the mic. And so as we go through this, so that each person doesn't have to get up and walk up to the podium to ask questions about the budget, so we can kind of keep this as an open dialogue, she'll try her best to get around to hand the mic. As she hands you the mic, just introduce yourself, your unit number, and ask your question, and we'll do the best we can to answer your questions. So specifically with the budget, I think many of you know, we found a formula error in the first page, the cover page of the budget. Pardon me? Okay, you guys can hear me, right?
No?
So the budgets that you received at home, this number at the bottom of that first page actually reflects this number that was in your budget packets. And so if you do the math, if you were to actually take that 1880070 and divide it by the 2830 homes we have, it would actually make our HOA fee $55 versus $54. We approved the budget. We've confirmed with our attorneys because we asked them, you know, we have some opportunities here. We found a potential formula error. It wasn't by malicious intent. It just happens. When you work with Excel, those things happen. Let me just finish my comments. And so we took the opportunity, namely me, if you want to blame it on somebody, as I did the math on this and as I was looking at some other opportunities within the budget, we reached out to our attorney and said, what options do we have? We found a mistake in the budget. Mistakes happen, but now we have some choices that we have to consider making. Do we make some adjustments? Do we resubmit the budget? Do we vote on the budget, send it back out? And if so, it gives us an opportunity to perhaps look at the budget with a little bit more additional scrutiny. I know some folks didn't like me poking around the budget. I'm sorry, but that's what I do for a living. That said, when we talked to our attorney, basically he said we're sort of stuck in between a rock and a hard place. The rock is we approved a budget at $54, even though the math adds up to 55, but 54, as you can see on the budget, seems to be a predominant number, and that was what was approved and passed by the board to send out to everybody's home, and everybody's received that budget from there. So, Roberta, if you want to grab the mic, I think Mary has a question about this front cover.
Mary Story, Unit 6. The only error on that front page, which Linda had every indication and was going to send out to the residents, the $54 figure is correct. When you take the 1880000 figure that's there, the only thing the Excel sheet did not do was subtract up the $45,000. When you take that off, it comes to the 1834. And doing the math comes down to $54, not $55.
Well, I appreciate the clarification on that, but the question that I had and members had, because I got phone calls, are we expecting them to go with these numbers or these numbers?
You know what the bottom line number, what you voted on the budget of $54. It was not the first time that an error has gone out. Unfortunately, the Excel did it. There was every indication that it was going to be rectified with a letter and an email to the residents, not a letter, but an email, social media, website, whatever, explaining that the simple error was that the Excel spreadsheet, when the number of 45,000 was put in there, did not do the subtraction. It's a machine, it made an error. But the bottom line is, the budget is $54.
So that said, that's our cover page, and that's why we're highlighting what you can see on the screen. Are there any other questions on the cover page before I move to the next one?
On YouTube. Carol Howard wants to know, how can we approve a budget when there has been no audit?
I guess you could ask that question each year for the last couple of years. So are there any other questions about the cover page? I have a hand in the back and there's one over here on the right-hand side. Roberta, when you're done. What was the question? I'm sorry. How can we do a budget without an audit? That's a great question. I don't know how you do a budget without an audit.
Don't you have
They
someone
voted,
to do
they
checks
voted on
and
the budget.
balances?
They approved the budget as the board.
How can it keep
That's how the bylaws
going
are.
back?
Okay, can we just have one question at a time, please, so we can hear everybody's question?
That's your choice.
One at a time, please.
So, again, I think the question is, how can we do a budget without an audit? I don't know. Unfortunately, we haven't had an audit for the last 2 years, as we talked about it, we just got it. But it does say in the bylaws, if you look at it, we have an advisory committee called the Finance Committee. They worked with our treasurer, they proposed a budget, they submitted the budget to the board, and the board approved the budget. Sure.
What's happened in the past with our money, let's start on a fresh note. Let's not vote on this budget until we get an audit. And let's start fresh.
So the choices we have on whether you vote for this budget or not is in the members' hands. If the budget is voted down, if the approved budget is which is up on the screen, I understand, but it's already been approved.
Don't we
And-
have someone who does the checks and balances to make sure everything is correct?
So.
Why is it that we always are missing money? We almost need something for that or something for this. We need someone or a committee to do checks and balances, to catch whatever problems there are.
Agreed,
We've had too many, way too many.
agreed.
Don't even present this budget, I'm sorry, but.
Well, this budget was, so if you, so let me just I'll clarify my position. I'm a new board member, right? This budget was presented to the board before they brought in the new board members. So I was not given an opportunity to vote, nor was Jane, nor was
Excuse
Roberta.
me, there's too much talking, too much, and I cannot hear Mr. Henry. Okay, and we got this going, and we got people on YouTube, and they can't hear because there's too much side chat. Okay, everyone will have a chance to speak, but we have to do this in order, okay?
So again, just trying to clarify, this is not a budget that the new board members approved and pushed forward. The Finance Committee presented their recommendations for a budget. It was given to the board. The board theoretically reviewed that budget and approved that budget to be sent out to the members. Can you give this young lady a microphone?
My name is Barbara, Unit 2. If we vote on this budget, we're not helping ourselves get out of a hole that we're in. So why can, the board should take this budget back,
We can't.
wait for an audit, and then let's get a clean slate to work on.
I hear
Just
you.
carrying over all the negatives.
I hear you, but in our bylaws, that's not an option at this point in time. So you as a member, the choices you have as a member is you can approve this budget or not approve this budget.
Okay, then why don't we take the $800,000 from Spectrum and wipe out our negative, go with this budget, and let's start clean.
I appreciate the recommendation, so noted, it's been recorded. But if we, the members, 'cause I'm also a member, if we, the members, vote this budget down, and it's our choice, then we go back to the last approved official budget, which is the budget from 2024, which is in your budget booklet at $50 per lot HOA fee. So our choice is we adopt this or we don't. That's the choice we have. And I hear your frustration. You're asking great questions. Understand. We,
Can I
I agree. Can we hand out some other microphones to some hands? Pardon me?
He needs a mic.
What we're saying is there was an error, there was a formula error, but what the board approved is $54.
Why did we vote on something that's an error?
Name and unit number.
Lyle Steckelberg, Unit 60.
Why was it voted on if there was an error? We didn't catch the error until after it was voted upon.
So now how do we correct that?
We correct it with either a vote yes to take this budget as it is, or to vote no, and we'll go back to the last approved budget, which is 2024.
Can't the board take care of that?
Can the board take care of it? No, we cannot. We spoke to our attorney last week. We sought legal advice to say we found a mistake. And so I did take the opportunity the prior weekend to look at the budget. I recreated it in Excel, tried to figure out if there was some other opportunities for us to maybe improve that budget so it wasn't $54. But at the end of the day, after talking to the attorney, by our bylaws, there was no way for us to bring that revised budget to the board to vote on, to then send it out to the printers, mail it to all the members who are not here, allow them time to fill out the ballot and send it back. We would have hit the November 18th deadline in our bylaws. And that's an opportunity. Yes, ma'am.
Sheila Walsh, Unit 3. We haven't mailed in all our ballots, so the board may think that that's fine. But when it comes back and more people have voted no, I've been here 6 years in November. I started at $43, and in 6 years, it's gone up. And to go to 54, that's absolutely ridiculous.
I appreciate your input. Our choice at this point is you either approve this through your ballot or you say no on your ballot. And if you don't approve this budget, then we go back to the last official approved budget, which is the 2024 budget of $50 per lot.
Okay, and the other thing is, we don't have bylaws. The committee made all new bylaws, the whole package. It was done, it finished last October, and we still haven't received it. Every member should get a new copy.
I believe that is either on our website or by January 1st, it will be on our website.
All those pages, the entire,
The bylaws,
all of them.
I believe the bylaws are on our website today. Can anybody confirm that?
Not the new ones.
It is not the bylaws.
What, who's talking?
Mary Starr, Unit 6, what you're referring to is not our bylaws. Our bylaws need to be approved by the residents and voted on. What you're referring to is our rules and regulations,
Oh, okay.
and they have
Sorry.
never been brought before the board for the board to approve all those changes. Some of them were, but the one suggested by the Rules and Regulations Committee has been submitted to the board but never brought up at a BOD meeting to be voted on.
Well, I know,
Therefore, they're not legit rules and regs.
and that the committee, I know Mark, you guys put it back in last October. So rules and regulations, it still hasn't come out. And all the changes that have been made over the few years on the bylaws, it all has to be updated. Some of that stuff is very old.
I would agree.
Or you're agreeing, but what's gonna be done about it?
So we spoke to our council about our bylaws because in some cases, if you go through the bylaws, as I'm sure many of you have them memorized more so than me. There are some interesting opportunities where some things seem like there's confliction within the bylaws. And so when we spoke to our council, it's up to us as the board to review our bylaws and put together our concerns, objections, opportunities, things that need to be corrected, send it over to our attorney and let him go through it. And he can clean it up and send it back to us for us to bring to this environment and
Okay,
vote on.
when is the audit gonna be done? Will it be done before the votes go in?
So as I just learned this evening with everybody else, apparently our audit came in for 2022 and 2023 yesterday.
Okay. So then, the one for this past year doesn't come out until next year.
2024 won't come out until 2025.
So that $54 is, boy, it's not gonna be $54. Most people will vote no. That's a huge increase for a lot of people that are on a
I think
budget.
that's up to the members of the community to make that decision. What we're trying to do tonight is go through and let you look at it and ask whatever questions you have. But that's strictly in the hands of our members at this point. You have the budget booklet. You can see each department in here. You can see all the line item information. And honestly, you have to make that decision yourself. We can help answer specific questions about the numbers that are in the budget. That's what we were hoping to accomplish tonight. But, you know, it doesn't change the outcome. The outcome is it's either 54 or 50. So you vote yes, it's 54. You vote no, we go back to 50.
Dave, I'd like to ask you, this is board member Rich Weiss. If it stays at 50, if it's not approved, can you tell everybody that we have to live within the budget we have, and that is it not true that we might have to forgo some projects and that in order to maintain the finances that we have?
So what Richard's talking about is, just so we all know, in the event that the new budget doesn't get approved, we go back to the last official budget, which is $50. So as we were discussing amongst all of the board members, through email communications, phone calls, what have you, we know we need to start working on a plan B in the event it doesn't get passed. We're not going to wait until November 20th to come up with a plan B. We need to start thinking about it today because it's going to be challenging. What is plan B? I don't have an answer. I'm working on it. What plan B is $50. And we have to start looking at each of the departments and figure out how we live within that budget. What I will tell you is our solution won't start with, we're going to shut down services, the clubhouse, we're going to shut down the pool. It won't start there. So what we need to do is, and what we're working on, and I'm driving some of that conversation, is we need to start looking at that budget for 2024. We need to look at the expenses that we have today, our monthly financials, our year-to-date projections, and we need to figure out what Plan B looks like. So we hope that as we get to November 20th and it goes forward, then we don't need a Plan B. If it looks like it stays at 2020, we hope to have a Plan B at that point in time, and we can begin to talk about some of the areas that'll have to be addressed in order to get us to stay within a $50 lot fee.
Beverly, I'm signing Unit 6.
Yes,
There
ma'am.
has to be consequences if the budget is not passed. It's required that all the employees can receive a raise this year, and that's by state law, right?
Mandatory.
For those that are on minimum wage, all of
So there
those,
will be consequences, and people
There will
have
be.
to realize that.
there will be.
We possibly might have to let some employees go, probably.
Don't start there. Jerry,
Can I
I say
interject?
possibly, I say possibly.
David, can I interject for a second?
please do.
This is Unit 3. I'm going to speak as a resident now, not an employee. Linda brought up that we had a shortfall in 2022, we had a shortfall in 2023. We also had a shortfall in 2020, we also had a shortfall in 2019. And now what happened in the world in 2019?
COVID.
And how long did it take the world to get out of that?
3 years.
How many?
3 years.
There's your shortfall, there's your expenses, because we were paying to have the office clean, we were paying to have the car shop clean, we were paying for the clubhouse to be clean. Every time you had somebody that had COVID, you had to have everything clean. Okay, one time it was $8,000, one time it was $16,000. So where does that money in a budget come from? It comes from your excess money that we had in our operating accounts, that what we see on the books, on a budget, okay? Sometimes the residents don't see the bottom line of how much money we actually have in the bank. Okay? So, beginning, if I remember correctly, Val, you can say this, that in 2019, we had somewhere around 600 or 360-some thousand dollars in the bank, not reserved. Now we come into an audit, the following year, we lost 180 grand. Am I right? Okay. That was all from COVID. That was all from the expenses that we were going through from operating, not reserved. Okay, so put things in perspective on what you're doing in the budget here, of what's going through the next following year, how expenses are going skyrocketing in the world. You can't use reserve items for operating.
Yeah, there's
Okay? Pardon me? No, it's not. It's for repair and upgrades, what you're doing here. Like if I want to do something in the clubhouse of upgrading the electrical, that's a reserve item, not operating. I can't use reserve money to fund operating money. Now, the special money, it can be, but do we actually want to use that $1 million to save a few bucks a month, where we can put that money into maybe put an extra facility out here that we expanded our clubhouse for our residents? Okay? It's all about you guys. What you guys want is what we'll do. But we also have to think of the future. Thanks, appreciate
Thank you,
it.
Dennis. Mary, and then Jerry.
Okay, so in 2022, we were paying $48 for HOAs. In 2023, we were still paying $48. In 2022, our salary for our departments was $916,500. In 23, the 22 Finance Committee reduced wages, and they took them down to $865,000. That's a decrease of $51,000, without even taking into consideration the mandatory increase, the minimum wage. That figure alone should have increased in 23 by $1, not even taking into consideration the mandatory increase that we are facing because the state isn't putting it on us. 2 years ago, you went to a store, you paid 89 cents for a dozen eggs. What are you paying now? $1.89, $2.19? Prices go up. Our insurance is going to go up, thanks to Helene and Milton. Okay? This is what you don't realize. And had people come to the meetings, they would have seen that this committee went line item by line item every week. We looked at our profit and loss statements. We compared them to 23. We compared it to the first 6 months of this year. Okay? And a lot of work was put into this. And to cast it aside as if you're not understanding that things go up. You go 2 years in a row with the same budget, your cost of living goes up. We also have to go up with our HOAs. We have an operating expense that we have to do. And to answer the question for the person that's saying we should take the $800,000 from Spectrum, Linda explained this. The IRS has told us we cannot use that lump sum. We actually are only getting $7,000 out of that. We have to pay IRS taxes of $290-some-odd-thousand on this. 40-some-odd dollars, 45, 49, I don't know the exact amount, went to the middleman that worked out the deal. So we are down to $640-some-odd-thousand, of which, because of the IRS law, we are only permitted to use $64,000 something every year. So you can't take the 600 and let's pay off the deficit. IRS will not allow us to do that. We didn't pay 2024 taxes yet. 2024 taxes won't get paid till they're done, January, February, March, whenever the accountant does them. It was $990,000.
Because the taxes were already paid.
No, the taxes are, we got this money in 2024. Do you pay your income tax? Do you pay your 2024 income taxes in 2025? So once the accountant does the taxes, the 297 will be paid to the IRS. The money is still in there, the money is building us interest, okay, because it's in CDs and that. But the money is not, we can't take $800,000 and say, here, do with it whatever you choose. Okay?
If I put $800,000 to work with you, you put $1 million in my bank account, and I have to pay the $200,000. That leaves me $800,000 to do what I want to do with it. You cannot dictate to me, or the IRS cannot.
The IRS, there are laws because we are an HOA and it's because it's a 10-year contract. We have a 10-year contract with Spectrum and that's what dictates the balance of it must be divided, that's 600 over 10 years.
Can I interrupt? I have some comments.
Can I just ask Mary, do you have a copy of that so that we can get it out to the residents so they'll understand what you're saying?
Are
No.
you talking about the Spectrum agreement?
Yeah, well, where it says from the bank, the IRS.
It's the IRS.
Okay, so do we have some sort of write-up about that so we can make sure the residents get it?
Linda would have to be the one. She was the one that informed us because she spoke to the accountants as to how. The information would have to be secured from Linda, because Linda is the one, we raised this question at a finance committee meeting. Linda went back and spoke to the accountants and asked them how this money has to be used and diversified. Linda would possibly have that information, but this came directly out of our accountant's mouth, that this is what the setup. It's been said over and over again that we only have $64,000 a year to use.
So we can acquire that document. And we'll be reaching out to our attorney, to our CPAs and our accountants. Let me move on to Jerry just for a second. We'll come back to you.
Okay, Jerry Foster, Unit 2. My question concerning that is, yes, I agree that we need to get a letter or something from an accountant saying it has to be done that way, because we know the contract doesn't say it anywhere. Another thing we need to do is make sure it's even legal, because my understanding is the attorney did not look at that contract. So we don't know if that's even valid from that standpoint. So another question I would be, was I'm looking at that page you got up there. And I asked this at the workshop the other day. Before she said the numbers a while ago, I asked a question about that estimated carryover that is blank up there. It's never been explained because I know, and so does Val know, that there was a carryover in 2020 of, well, basically we started the year in 2020 with $380,000 or 480, I'm sorry. At the end of it, we had 320,000. So that 320,000 carried over to 21. So whatever didn't, I'm not seeing that audit for 22. So it's got to be on there that there's a carryover from 22 to 23. So I don't think the number she read is accurate as far as what we're looking at. There's a beginning year and there's an ending year. We wouldn't be at that rate. We would somewhere we lost $400,000 or $500,000. That makes no sense. So I would want to find out that, but I agree. We should vote down this budget and say, I don't know if, I say I say we should have a forensic audit anyway, or check those lines or whatever that have been zeroed out, when it was, what happened, and all that. So.
Thank you, Jerry.
I have one more question for you. I don't appreciate that comment.
I know, let's be civil at least, come on.
What else are you gonna do as far as the, you're gonna find out inspector money, but, well, I lost my thought right now. In the contract, so.
Hi, I'm Chrissy. I'm a new member here, new resident, and this is my first board meeting. I've got many years of experience in the nonprofit sector. And I wanna just ask a question. You said taxes. Nonprofits do not pay taxes. Now, payroll taxes, yes. But if you're waiting until 2025 to pay a 2024 audit, I mean, that's incorrect. So we do not pay the government taxes.
We are not a nonprofit, we are a non-profit.
Not for profit, not
We are not
nonprofit.
nonprofits. We are not.
We
You're
do,
not 501c3? No, why not?
we do pay taxes.
Is this regarding Spectrum?
Yes.
Can we,
When can we get to see the contract? Because it's so hard to
isn't the
believe.
contract up on the website? Do you have access to our website?
Yes.
The Spectrum contract is up on the
Because if
website.
you take money out of your retirement account and you took $1 million out and the IRS is taking $200,000 from you, you don't have to pay on that $800 remaining every year. And that's what they're trying to tell us.
No.
So,
If we break the contract, say if we break the contract.
but you're not, there's also a broker fee in there. There's some other things in there, and I wish I could answer your question once we get a chance to review the audits. Maybe we can give you a little bit more information. Yes.
So we need, I don't understand, Mary Story Unit 6. We have 990,000, you're taking 40 some odd thousand out, takes it down to 940 some odd thousand. We're paying over 3,000. So nobody is saying we still have to pay additional taxes on this. The tax is one lump sum payment of 297,000. Once that's paid, it's done with. The remaining money of ours is ours to use, but diversified over 10 years. So there's no paying year after year after year. It's a lump sum payment. One lump sum payment is what the accountant told us needs to be done.
So moving on. So what's up on the screen is our admin.
I had my hand up.
Sorry, I didn't see it. Go ahead.
Well, I had to put it down while other people talk. I know. Paul Harrison, Unit 4. To answer that lady's question over there, you want a copy of the bylaws? Go to the office, they have them there. The other one, like Mary explained, the broker gets his cut paid out over 10 years. Okay, the broker is lump sum also. So when you take all these figures, it looks great on paper, but you gotta take out taxes, broker.
Thank you. This first page of the budget, when you get it, look at the admin page, you'll notice at the top where you see all of the wages. You might be asking yourself, why are the wages so high in our budget for 2024? Why is our projected relatively high, and why are we proposing something less? And the reason why that is the case is because in subsequent pages, for example, if I move over to facilities, you'll see in facilities, they didn't have this information in 2024 in the actuals proposed and projected. And so they're now breaking out Social Security, unemployment, and workers' comp into each of the individual departments. So when you look at that, again, when you see this on this front page, or the first page of the packet, These numbers are much smaller than these numbers. And again, the reason why we've done that, keep in mind, as you go to subsequent pages, they're now breaking out those fees and aligning those to the accountable departments. Does it make sense? Okay. If you continue to go down through the, this is the first half, I'll go to the next slide in just a second, but you'll see that, I mean, it seems like the information is there. You're welcome to ask whatever questions you have. But it's fairly straightforward that you can look at what we did in 2023, our budget in 2024, where we think our projections are going to end at the end of the year, and then we have what we're proposing for next year. One of the areas that we're seeking a little additional qualification on, we just received some information the other day, is on our insurance. You can see if you look at our budget for 2024 at 70,000, we have projections at 76,000, and there's a budget line of 110,000. And so that might be an opportunity for us to get added clarification from our insurance company to see if, is that in fact the right number or is there a different number? I don't have that answer for you today.
I have that for you today. Can I have a mic?
Anybody have a mic for Mary?
Okay, so the Marion Story Unit 6. We put the insurance in at 110,000. David, your revised was lowering it down to 80,000.
That's correct.
The actual premiums for 2025, which has been available, is $123,983.74. So you would have under budgeted us with your revised by $1.20 some odd cents. Ours only does it by 38 cents. So we still would have been range of 54, but your revised budget should have at least been 53, not 52.
So to that point, Mary, we did reach out to our insurance agent. The revised numbers came in at about 86. So we don't have to sort of get into a debate as to your numbers versus the agent's
This is
numbers.
right from the office.
I
This is all the
understand.
premiums from the office.
We reached out to the agent directly. And so that's why we have a different number that might be as part of our plan B as we go into next year.
We gotta reduce insurance.
Anybody else have a, Paul?
Wow.
Can we get Paul, Mike?
Just keep it on here.
Front row, just hold on to the chair.
While we're waiting for the mic for Paul, can I just go over some of these comments and questions?
Lisa?
Jill Mull Campbell, is the bank account balanced monthly?
Hypothetically, we should be looking at our financials on a monthly basis, which would tell us where our money is.
Jerry Kraft says, please advise exactly where did the idea that only 64,000 per year could be used from the Spectrum money? Where is it in writing so that we may see that?
Thank you. I think that question sort of surfaced a few minutes ago that we didn't reach out to our CPA and or our auditor to help us get some advice in writing that answers the question that Mary was trying to answer. Why are we essentially allocating it each year for the next 10 years at $64,000 or $60,000 a year?
Another from Jerry Kraft. $8,000 was wasted on that party. Money needs to be spent wisely. That's a perspective also.
Well, I think that's part of our plan B, is making sure that we as a board stick to our bylaws and that we'll have a budget, whether it's passed or, whether it's the 54 or 50, we as a board will have to be much more diligent in making sure that we stick to the bylaws and nothing gets approved if it's beyond the budget line. And there's a process and protocol for that. I can't speak to whether we've stuck to it or not in the past, but I can tell you as a part of moving forward, whether it's 54 or 50, we as a board are going to do due diligence to make sure that we follow the guidelines of our bylaws and the budget.
Vincent Bruno says, money is flying out the door unwisely. That's a comment. Kathy Dillon, Unit 3. If we have a budget, why do we have a deficit? I think we answered that too. Karen Henry, the bylaws and the spreadsheet on Spectrum are on the website. Kathy Dillon says, so we're paying taxes on money that we can't use?
That's kind of how it works. You can thank your good governors and your federal government.
And another question, it sure would have, or comment, it sure would have been a good thing to have a meeting like this prior to the budget being sent out. This is communication.
I think I heard a collective amen. So I would like to, I'll get to you in just a second, Paul. I do want to just highlight, if you do have a chance to look at the Spectrum budget, and if you look at the marketing agreement and all the information, there's several attachments. Get some popcorn and a big cup of coffee, it'll take a while. But one of the things, there's two things in that Spectrum agreement that haven't been addressed momentarily. I say momentarily because we're trying to put together a plan. In the Spectrum agreement, it says that there are 25 free Wi-Fi accounts over the next 10 years. And we don't believe many, if any, have been identified in that agreement. So we're leaving some money sitting on the table that we shouldn't be leaving on the table. There's also 25 free video streaming services accounts in that contract each year for 10 years. And so we did ask our attorney the other day about, for example, if we as a community and or board want to try to figure out how to utilize those 25 free accounts for Wi-Fi and 25 free accounts for video streaming, could we consider doing something where maybe those are, I don't want to say what that's going to be because there's a lot of opportunities coming our way on how this could be handled, but could it be raffled to our volunteers? Could it be given to those in need? There's different ways in which we have the opportunity as members in the board to figure out how do we use those 25 free accounts each year for the next 10 years. And so that's money sitting on the table. We're going to try to address it in an upcoming board meeting so that we can have a plan to not let that just sit there and not work for us. So I don't know if that was something you were going to ask Jerry or bring up, but that's something we're trying to figure out how to address. Paul, I'll get to you.
Paul Harris, Route 4. I've been on the finance committee for the past 2 years. We started out this year in June with an automatic $1 deficit because the previous year, it should have been a $3 increase, but the treasurer did not want to make it $3. So you voted on a $2 increase. The year before that, the president did not want an increase at all. So everybody was happy. It probably should maybe have been a $1 increase. Also, the reserve fund was underfunded by 90-something thousand because she did not want to put the last 2 months to fund the reserve account from the operating budget. So when the new treasurer came on, he put all this money, most of the money in CDs, which he earned interest on, and they were able to wipe out the deficit in 2023 of the 90-something thousand that wasn't put in. But when you start saying there was $1 that should have been added on, the previous president had a zero increase, maybe that should have been $1. So that $54 maybe should have been $52 this year. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so this is what you'll see on the admin page if you haven't gone through and read through it before. This is the information you'll be looking at. Yes.
Since you said that the board plans on looking at the bylaws and making changes where they could be made, if this budget gets turned down and the new bylaws come into effect, are we able to come up with a new budget, like say midway through the year?
Not at this point in time, the bylaws won't be changed to address that. The changes I was referencing in the bylaws is there's some conflict in our bylaws. If you read one area, it says one thing. If you read something else in another area, sometimes it seems like it conflicts with each other. So we're trying to clean up some of those opportunities. Without getting too much more into detail, I appreciate the question. Thank you. Any other questions on admin budget? I say page 2, it's still in page 1 on your booklet. I just had to break it down on the screen into 2 sections. So the next one is the facilities budget. So again, the anomalies of why this is much greater than when you looked at the 23 actuals, which we didn't really have except for one category. And then in 24, no proposed, 24 projected, none. Next year you'll have them because we're just taking them from the front page and we're moving them into the subsequent departments. And then you see the rest of the line items in there. I don't know if there's any other specific questions about this page. If not, I'll move on. Public Works, same as very similar anomalies at the very top. I'm not hearing any specific questions, so I'm going to go ahead and keep on working through it. Code enforcement, again, same anomalies at the top. Those are the line item details within that budget. Pretty self-explanatory, I think, unless you have any specific questions. So we have a revenue budget. I don't know if this is hard to see. So this isn't, I'll just give you a clarification. This isn't exactly how you're going to see it in your budget book. The numbers are the same. But as a new resident looking at that front page, where it breaks out on the front page, the estimated other income, landscaping, collection fees, and administration, I didn't know where those numbers came from through the revenue page. So on this screen, I broke them out into the subcategories to line up with the front page. So at least even myself, as I look at it, I know what's bundled in each of the categories called estimated other income, landscaping, collection fees, and administration. One of the questions I will be asking our auditor and maybe the CPA and even our attorney is that when you look at the front page, if I go back a little bit to the front page, assessments are not part of income. And I'm not sure why they're not on there. I'm sure there's a reason, but I'm going to ask for clarification in writing. So if anybody has a future question around that, I'd be happy to answer it. So back to Public Works, Code Enforcement, revenues. This is the second half of the revenue page. Those are our revenues that all add up to a bottom line of 2.1 million in revenues. You can't see that at all because I can't read it from here either. But it is in your budget booklet. This is our reserves. You're welcome to run all the way up front and see if you can see it any better, but save yourself. You can see it, it's in the budget booklet. It's all right there. Any other questions before we move away from the budget? Paul?
When we started the budget process this year, we had the figures of what was actually spent up to June of 2024. Then we got the July expenditures that were complete. Then we got the August expenditure, what was being spent. And that's how we based the budget for 2025. Oh, Vince alone, he told us, what, Vince, how much scoring got up?
About 400%.
There you go. So we had to figure these figures in. And when we did our final budget, we used everything that we had, and then we projected it for the next year. And what David Henry is proposing, heaven help us, but with his cuts. So I'm just saying that budget for 2025 is almost 100% accurate.
So thank you, everybody, for your questions. I think at this point, we're going to go ahead and conclude our budget conversation.
Yeah.
And we're going to move forward. I'm not sure if they're happy that it's over or just tired of hearing me. But thank you. So I'm going to turn it back over to Millie so she can talk about the new business.
How do you follow that?
Quickly.
Okay, we have and hearings, okay. Is there a Melvin and Donna Dodd and Michelle Nolan here?
Here.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. No, I mean, either one, either you or I. Okay.
Thank you, Catherine and Roberta, for being our microphone runners also.
So the next item on the agenda was new business A/VRC appeal. And this was familiar, but I'll weigh in. We reviewed the information, and at this point, we are sending this over to our attorney for advisement. It's a difficult situation. I don't think we're in a position to weigh in until we can get advisement from our attorney. So I'm sorry we can't answer your question and address this evening, but we'd rather address it correctly than get it wrong. And so it is with our attorneys at this point in time.
Do you not have to vote on it?
We're not voting on it at this point in time. We're going to table it.
Vote to send it to, vote to table it or vote to send it to the
Okay,
attorney?
so I make a motion to table this discussion. So feel free to jump in. So I guess we're making a motion, I'll make a motion to send this to our attorney for advisement, so we make sure we get it correct. That's right, that's up for discussion at this point.
Okay, we're, all right, hold on there,
It's up
Paul.
for discussion.
It is open for discussion. Roberta, all right. What has come before us, was before the ABRC board. And there was a ruling that, they wanted this board to make in reference to a couple who have underage children here in the community. And you know, we go, you have, how can I say it? You know, you want to deal with your heart on a lot of these situations where any one of us at any given time, I know I have 11 grandchildren, and God forbid, if there's a reason why I would have to take one of my grandchildren who are under the age of 18, someone come to me and say, you have to move. We have been going through this. It's not only now, this has been going on for, quite a while. And the rules, I know, the rules are what they are. They sign agreements, anyone signs agreements or whatever they sign when they come in here, 55 and over. One person having to be 55 to be in the house, but no children under the age of 18. And this is a stickler. It really, really is, because I know there are grandparents in here that at one time or another, even still till today, have whatever the situations were, whether if it's a court order, if it's a custody order, but we're taking care of our grandkids. Where are they supposed to go? This is the way I feel about it. So anyways, bottom line, they have come before the board, and this has been sent to our attorney for their legal opinion on this. So no decision. Are you Mr. Dodd?
I'm Nolan.
Okay, Mr. Nolan. You want to come up here?
No, they don't reside with us. They visit every other weekend. I don't get it. They do not reside. They go to school in Bell.
Okay, this is why, and I know what you're saying, Mr. Dodd, but this is why this is going, let the lawyer make, how can I say?
But do they know this?
But wait, the violation was
No.
issued, the violation was issued on Starbucks, which is my parents' home. The grandkids come to.
You wanna come up here? Oh, right there. We didn't really wanna, we didn't wanna really discuss this, but.
Everybody needs to know the facts. Okay, so Michelle Nolan, I have no idea what my unit number is.
Yep.
The violation was issued back in August for Starcross Street, which is where my parents live. My grandkids come to visit us. We live on Adair. We take them to visit my parents during the weekends when they're here. So number one, why was the violation issued for Starcross? There must be a kid hater over by my parents. But then again, in people that I've talked to in this community and people that have reached out to me, there are plenty of kids in this community every day that are being taken to school, watched after school, daycare reasons so that the parents don't pay. Things happen, life happens. Kids get sick, parents have to work, grandparents are home, you watch your grandkid. But yet I'm getting a violation when nobody else has.
Okay, are your grandchildren living here in the community?
No, they
They're
do
not.
not live here. They live in Bell, Florida, 2 hours from
Okay.
here.
I'll tell you what, Mrs. Dawn, we have code enforcement right here, Peter. Let him explain now why this violation was given. Being that you've already stated that they do not live here, they visit as grandparents. Peter?
Okay, so if you remember when you came to the Peter Bretzka, code enforcement, all units. When you folks got the violation was exactly no children allowed, which is what the rules and regulations state. Then you appealed it, you went to the ABRC hearing, and during that hearing, they heard your case, and it was explained that because you told them that the children go one weekend at your house, one weekend at the other house, one weekend at your house. It's in writing. You stated that.
No, they don't go back and forth to houses. They come to our house on Friday evenings. We visit at my parents' house through that weekend, and then we take them back on Sunday around noon.
Every other
Weekend when the kids are here.
Okay, so this is what was discussed at the appeal hearing. Okay, and this is why we have sat and discussed this case over and over for quite some time already. This is why it's going now to the attorney. Let the attorney decide what we should do with this.
You only get your information.
Hey, Mrs. Dodd, where do the children reside?
Bell, Florida.
Bell, Florida. And they come up here to
And
visit.
they're not here every weekend. They are here every other weekend.
Okay, when you had the hearing with the AVRC, you did explain this to them?
Yes.
That they're here, they visit.
Yes.
They do not live here.
Correct.
And do we have,
And also, if I can add, in your rules and regulations, it says before a violation is issued, there's supposed to be an investigation. There's supposed to be, a conversation, some type of warning. None of this has happened.
Do we have, is there, not to sound picky, but do we have any documentation as to where their actual residence is? I mean, I know you just quoted an address, I get that, but is there anything we have?
I mean, I have a picture of my grandson's where he got a certificate at his school. You're kidding. I mean, they're 4 and 1.
I'm trying to help them. I'm just wondering if there's any documentation.
David.
Makes them maybe get something from their school system that says they attend school there on a daily basis.
You're sending it to
David.
lawyers based on misinformation.
We don't have any information on it, no.
Hello. Okay, I have my granddaughter every other weekend.
Violation.
Oh, Kathy Martin, Unit 3.
All right, can we just take a second so we can
Yeah, that's
continue on
fine.
with Mrs. Dodd?
I was told.
Okay.
So just for clarification, is there anything that you can provide us from the school that they attend that says that
That
it's,
should not be needed.
I'm trying to
They're not in school, are they?
validate.
The 4-year-old is in preschool. The 1-year-old is not.
So I'm just looking for anything that you can help us satisfy this case to say that if the kids don't live here.
No, I should not have to. They do not reside here. My husband and I work. We are gone during the day. This is ridiculous. Right, but yet you're gonna allow a visitor for 30 days, but not a grandkid for every other weekend?
Okay, Mrs. Dodd, I'm going to ask the board to make a motion. No, this is to be dropped. Your grandchildren come in every other weekend, God bless them, and that's it. Can I have a motion? Discussion? Okay. Grandparents, here it is. All in favor? Aye. Okay. Welcome, and enjoy those grandkids, because I have a few myself.
Thank you.
Thank you.
They have an opportunity to appeal.
To continue on now, we're going to do our report of directors for committee reports and/or projects. And we're going to start with Roberta. You want to start with you, huh? Yeah, sure.
I just have a question. We used to have a legislative committee here, and the last review was in 2006. And I know a lot of you have been here in that year. If any of you have been on that committee or know anybody that's on that committee, if they would get in touch with somebody on the board, myself or anybody else, so we can reconvene it and we can get some history on it. Because being the financial situation we're in and all the discrepancies in the bylaws and the SOPs, we need to straighten some things out. So. Thank you.
Catherine?
Oh, my turn. Hi, everybody. I had a really good time this month at Crime Watch. I gotta tell you, these poor guys, they went through the hurricane, the first one, which devastated everything down at the beach. Then they did it again. So our Crime Watch meeting was minimal. What they talked about was the fact that the looting and the homeless people, and not so much homeless people, were to be very aware because they were jumping fences into different properties. So just be aware of your surroundings and what's going on, because sometimes they're getting a little violent. So at any rate, they wanted me to make sure that I pass that along. And they also said that they'll be back at the Crime Watch meeting just as soon as things quiet down at the beach. The other meeting I went to was a unit rep meeting, our ladies over there. And they're looking for new members, and so is Crime Watch as well. The rental packet that was in the suggestion box, we thought they were gonna be sending them out or submitting them to the renters instead of the owners, but Arlene has explained that they do it at the office. When the owner comes, they give them the rental packet, so that's all been taken care of. Instead of, because the owners weren't making sure that they knew what they had to have rules and regs wise. So now that's being done. They also informed me that they have worked on the election every year. And this year, they have been told that the election committee has plenty of help, so they're not gonna be working on the election this year. So if you're looking for them to be there, they've been asked not to be there, so they'll be over there. So anyway, they're looking for new members as well. They do a really good job in the community. And then the other thing that I wanted to address was the suggestion boxes. I have several people all the time asking me when there's gonna be a venue that they can discuss it. I have been working on things with Vince, with Peter, with the unit reps, with Arlene. And so I'm gonna put this to Millie, because I'd like to be able to have a town hall so that we can address this and make sure that these things are talked about. I'd like to have one every month with 3 of our board members there so we can all address it and maybe come up with some ideas in order to be able to resolve the suggestions that are in there. So that goes to Millie.
You put me on the hot seat?
I'm putting you on the hot seat, so that's it. That's all I got, guys.
I like that. It's something that's never been done. I think, we have to go forward with a lot of new stuff.
On your microphone.
Oh.
We got it.
Oh, got it.
Richard?
Okay, well, Community Development Committee, due to Hurricane Helene and Hurricane Milton, happening in the middle, basically, of the week, and they meet on Friday, both of those meetings have been canceled due to those 2 hurricanes. And I'm very happy that most of the park here did not get terribly damaged. I feel very bad for the people that did. I've tried to help some of my neighbors with some stuff. I hope everybody's trying to help their neighbors. Is my microphone not working good? Okay. So, sorry, sir, shaking. So I guess the next meeting will be this Friday, and hopefully I'll be there. As far as the mold remediation was done by drying down, I'd like Peter to get up and say is it still? I'm right up to it. I'm right. I'm just about kissing it, and I don't want to get my germs all over it. But I'd like Peter to explain what the next steps are that are going to be involved, and the reason why the resident side gate has been up all this time also. You can address that. So Peter, would you mind addressing those things for them?
Okay, so during the remediation, the process requires that all the electric be cut off from the original gatehouse. And the entire gatehouse was stripped completely inside. Everything was ripped out, gutted. Right now, the only thing that sits there is a shell. So there's no electric to the gates, which is the reason why the gates are the way they are. And they are not functioning. However, the pads, the tablets that they use are back to being operable again. So, because we had them out for a while, We waited 3 weeks for Spectrum to get down and get that situation straightened out for us. So we do now have a phone in that temporary unit. So if you need to call the gatehouse, all you have to do is call the same number that's listed, and you will reach the gatehouse. As far as the tablets, they are now back in operation. They're not functioning quite 100% yet because there's problems with some of the tablets that we're not charging and booting up since they've been down for so long. Which is the reason there are going to be some people that are going to have some issues that are going to follow this, but just bear with us. This is a project that's going to be ongoing. So we're waiting to get bids on the renovation of the gatehouse now. And I have one bid right now. We're waiting for two more. We were supposed to have two of them tomorrow. One canceled out because they're all the way out in Tampa and they don't feel that it would be feasible to come all the way up here and do a project like that. So, but I do have another one that's listed, located in Spring Hill that will be coming over and doing a bid for us. So, and we're going to wait and try to get one more. Hopefully we'll get that by next week, but just bear with us because there's been a lot going on. Things are not functioning like they should be. Okay. But we're doing the best we can to do it the way we can with what we have. Lately we've been going back to the pad, the clipboard, like we did many years ago before the tablets came out. They were doing it using a clipboard. So we were doing that in the meantime, waiting for Spectrum to take care of what they had to do for us. Now we do have the tablets back. Once we get everything fully operational with the tablets, we'll be using that strictly, okay? And we are hoping to go with a whole new system once the gatehouse is back up and running. Things are going to be different. It'll be operating in a different way and a lot more efficient than we have now. And I got 16 seconds left.
I have some additional comments and questions. One is, when do the resumes for the people applying for the board need to be in? That's November 4th. Right, so anyone that's interested in running for the board, November 4th, have your resume in.
Raise your hand.
Then there's a comment, Carol Howard is saying that next door to her, there's a 16-year-old that lives with his mother and every weekday gets picked up between 7 and 7:30 and back again around 2:30. Since I've been here, I've witnessed 4 fights. That really has to be brought up to code enforcement and then gone from there. So if it's a complaint you want to lodge, I would talk to code enforcement. I have no additional updates.
David?
So 2 things. I know the comment was made earlier about the quote for 16 PCs, 16 computers for Brookridge. I did reach out to Thomas Fine to Fine Industries the other day to get some more clarification on that quote. As I mentioned at the workshop, typically you don't go through and make a sweeping change of every computer at one time. There's different ways in which you can do that. So I asked Thomas for his feedback on why he was recommending 16. His comment was he was asked to give a quote for 16. Fine, put that aside for a second. And we talked about what do we need at this point in time. His recommendation was that there are some super users, particularly those that are using QuickBooks, that have an urgent need to upgrade their PCs. And so he's putting together a revised quote, but he's also going to advise us on moving our server from a physical server that sits here on property to a server that sits in the cloud, because that gives us more redundancy in case there's ever a power outage and in case there's ever a disruption with power. That's hardware that doesn't want to be affected, and we don't want to lose that. He had some other networking recommendations. We're going to be looking at some alternatives. And it does seem like we do need more PCs, but we want to try to put it into more of a rotation and see if we can stretch it out a little bit before we sort of end up buying all 16 this year. So we are revisiting that and looking at that to see if we can come up with another plan that's worth considering. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, I learned about this from a member the other day. There is a Tampa Bay condo and HOA expo. Granted, I'm not giving you much notice, but it is happening tomorrow in Tampa. It is open to any member of an HOA in Florida. So if anybody specifically has nothing on their calendar tomorrow and has nothing else better to do on their calendar tomorrow, and you have interest in learning more, find me after the meeting. But myself and Jane and Roberta will be driving down tomorrow to participate in seeing what they have for exhibits. Also, they have quite a few seminars, quite a few classes. It's also a way for us to continue getting our credits if necessary, although I think we all just recently got our certification, but they have some great classes. And so we'll be participating in that tomorrow and representing Brookridge. Outside of that, that's all I have. Thank you.
Good job, guys. Okay. I would have gone to this, but I read it a little bit too late because I'll be up at the Marine Corps tomorrow. Just a thought on what we had, was mentioned earlier about the Toys for Tots. I belong to the Marine Corps. I've been a member of the adjutant up there for 10 years. And as far as Toys for Tots, it's a big thing every year. There will be distribution for families at the Hernando County Fairgrounds on December 15th and 16th. You can go online, and this is the only way. Years ago, we used to have people come in and sign up, but now you could do everything online for your kids, grandkids, whatever. And what they do is once you're online, they have all that information. Let's say today is December 15th, and you come up, you tell them your name, and then they'll look that you've already signed up. And I know what they do is they have tables, different age groups, babies 2 to 4, whatever, and they have the young Marines or fellas from the ROTC that they go around as elves. Each person goes around with an elf and pick out your own stuff for your kids. So if any, grandparents, whatever, get on the website, just sign up December 15th and 16th for your Toys for Tots. And believe me, it's a worthwhile thing, and I've been doing it for a lot of years. Okay, member comments, let's get to that. And when you get up, please just give your name and your unit number. Just keep in mind that your comments are for three minutes. If you need longer, just get back in the back of the lines and start all over again. So that everybody will have a chance. I know. Okay, go ahead, Val.
Val Stratton, Unit 3. Will we be able to do in-person budget voting at the clubhouse?
Yes.
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 Arlene, how many employees do we have?
We have believe 46.
46 employees. The minimum wage is going up $1, which is 8% of what they were getting. The budget is going up 8%, so just keep that in mind. Between the last two meetings, we had 7 items tabled, but I see we do not have any unfinished business. Could we address those tabled items in the future, please? And last but not least, there will be a costume party on October 26th. And you can see on Tuesdays and Thursdays, they sell tickets. And on November 16th, the social dance will be having the Beach Boys. So please get tickets for that.
Is it on? I don't hear the sound.
Hi.
There you go.
Thanks, guys. Hi, my name is Melanie Butterworth. I live in Unit 1, and I've been a resident in Brookridge for 26 years. But today, I have had my First Amendment rights violated by this community, and I have been experiencing harassment based on the fact that I happen to have a disability. I am a retired educator with a master's degree, just so you know. My friend Devon wrote you a letter yesterday about her going to some of our friends' houses in here who happen to be Democrats, registered, only Democrats. We were trying to help them get information about voting. And I couldn't accompany Devon all day yesterday because I was busy. So Devon was talking to people who we know are registered Democrats only, nobody else. And somebody in a white SUV chased her out of the community, accusing her of solicitation, which is not even what she was doing according to our own definition of what solicitation is. And you know, that really concerned me because I like Devon a lot. She also is an educator. She was educated at Howard University, really nice woman, older than me. And I invited her to help me talk to my friends here in Brookridge. So this morning I got up because I wanted to talk to more people, and I went to the office because I needed a map of our neighborhood, and I wanted to find out what happened with Devon. And that guy right over there, now I know his name is Peter, he wouldn't tell me earlier today. Peter told me that I am violating the solicitation policy, which is not true. There is a court case, Watchtower Bible versus Stratton, Ohio, that the Supreme Court ruled on in 2002 that says an HOA is not allowed to stop people from talking to people in a community like this. Okay, it's a Supreme Court decision. I've got the numbers right there in my book. But not only did he do that, but he brought up the fact that I have a mental illness. And when I told him I thought that was a low blow, he threw me out of the office. That's harassment according to the Fair Housing Act of 2023. So when I leave here tonight, I'm going to be filing some complaints unless Brookridge can rectify with me, because I'm not speaking on behalf of any party or any club. I'm just speaking as Melanie Butterworth, a representative of a long-term citizen of Brookridge about this in my
Okay, Melanie, let me, before you go. Okay, of course, we know there's no solicitation in Brookridge, but there's not any political data or paraphernalia in Brookridge. Like you don't see any signs out on the lawn. You see the flag, waving, but there's nothing. Okay, but what I need to do, because I want to get down to the bottom of this. If you would stay after the meeting, and we're gonna have a talk with
We
our
need
code
to.
enforcement, not now, but we will do this after the meeting so that we'll get what happened.
We will.
All right, dear? We'll take
Yes.
care of this.
Yes, because I was told that she was being belligerent and screaming and shouting, and I talked to her on the phone, and she told me that wasn't what happened at all, which is more like her personality in the department.
We're gonna take care of this today. Thank you, dear.
Mary Story, Unit 6. In the last meeting, the workshop meeting, you approved through Hoopers for the concrete work at the tennis court. The main slab was to be 76 by 11. I would like to know on whose authority and when, because the signed contract reads now that the slab was changed to 20 by 11. It reduced the price to $20,000. When was that done, and when were the residents gonna know about it, and does the tennis people know about it? Does the pickleball people know that that area has been shortened? It was voted to be a 76 by 11. It's now been reduced by 56 feet, the slab. So I'm just wondering who authorized that and whatever. And before I do that, I want to know who we thank, because I'm looking at a signed contract by Eric Cooper, and it says terms for payment. 5% down, 40% on completion, 10% 30 days thereafter. Who's getting the other 45%? And this is signed by Eric Cooper, the owner, on October 15th. This is a legally signed document. Terms are written on here, handwritten on here, and he signed it. That's the owner, one of the owners of the company, the concrete company. Well, there is no right now signed by one of ours, and I wasn't able to obtain it, but it doesn't make a difference. He's the owner of the company. So it's 45% shy. Are we getting a break? Is this legal? Did we have the attorney look at this as it is supposed to? Now let's go to the dry me out contract. The dry me out contract that is signed by a Brookridge BOD director, not signed by an agent of dry me out, does not even list the price we're paying. Nothing on here does it say how much we are paying for this contractor to work here. It also contains a contractor's lien. That lien, if dry me out subcontracts out, and we have paid dry me out and he doesn't pay the subcontractors are coming to us for the money to be paid for that and the supplies. The same as had happened up here. It says what?
Dry me out does not have subcontractors.
It doesn't make a difference. It's written in the contract. There's nothing to say that because of all the work they're doing, they couldn't subcontract somebody. It suggests right in the contract that we put a lien waiver on this. So I'm going to ask again, was this contract as supposed to be looked at by the attorneys? Okay, before anything was signed. Richard, I'm also going to, since we no longer have a treasurer, you made a very big point of stating with Linda and almost demanding from her copies of contracts with Edward Jones for our CDs. 3 Edward Jones agencies, separate ones, were contacted. Edward Jones does not give a contract nor a certificate on a CD. They issue a certificate number, which appears on your monthly and/or quarterly statement. That is because they are a broker-dealer agency. So please, this is just for your future in the information for the future, because you really raked Linda over the coals over those contracts. And everything she told you was exactly what Edward Jones said. Thank you.
Is somebody planning to look into these contracts? What are we
And who authorized this change? Nobody answered me. Who authorized the change in the slab? By 56 feet, without board approval.
What are we gonna do about it?
So I can tell you, at the workshop meeting, I told everybody that I would I would give you my vote of yes, only after we meet with the contractor to review the scope of work out there. As we reviewed the scope of work, it seemed that concrete slab was a bit excessive for the needs for this project, and also trying to be conscientious about the cost of the project. We did trim back some of that concrete and saved $4,000 on the overall cost of that project. And so we also reviewed, so for example, most of that work is still proceeding, except the length of that contract, the length of that concrete it seemed excessive for the needs for that space. And it did seem like it was good for us to save $4,000 in light of a budget shortfall.
But you're one person, one vote. The rest of the board had their vote on 76 feet.
So in attendance
you
was
actually-
myself, Millie, Catherine, Vince was there, and I don't know if there was anybody else.
That's 3 out of 4, that's 3 out of 7.
Okay.
And all of you had voted basically in favor of it.
We have voted in favor pending
My review of the
his
space.
review.
Don't you think the residents should have been made aware of this and you were making a
Rest
change?
of us would
That's
like to hear what he's
transparency.
saying. Get with the microphone.
Me, all right, so this is what you want.
Mary Story, Unit 6, do you not think it would have been fair to the residents to make them aware that this decision has been changed and you're shortening this and the reasons why? That's called transparency. The only way I found it out was I asked you for the contract. Had I not asked for it, there wasn't a thing in the agenda about it tonight to let the residents know that you decided to make changes. And did you make the tennis and pickleball people aware of these changes? Because they were under the understanding they were getting 76 feet there. It's called transparency.
So, no, thank you.
Hi. My name is Melanie Prevo, Unit 3. This is a letter that I have handed to the board, and I'd just like to read it out for everyone.
Louder.
Can you put the microphone closer?
All right, thank you. To Brookridge Board and residents, I'd like to address the need for a life circumstance exception to the Brookridge deed restrictions, Article 3, Section 12, and 12A. This section was revised in April of 2019. It outlines that Brookridge is a single-family residential community. The relevant definition in this section to my discussion states a single family means family members related by marriage, adoption, or blood. It also defines a guest as a person who has a residence elsewhere, and guests under the age of 18 may occupy an owner's residence for a maximum of 90 cumulative days per calendar year. Section 12A states to purchase in Brookridge, you must be 55 years old, and all persons occupying an owner's parcel must be 18 years of age. These facts are not in dispute. However, there are other facts of life that need to be addressed as they affect many Brookridge residents. Under the current deed restrictions, a Brookridge resident, having fully met all the requirements at the time of purchase, and now facing a situation of needing to raise a grandchild, is considered in violation of Section 12 and will incur fines for having a grandchild live with them for more than 90 days per calendar year. So as it stands, any resident, a friend or neighbor of any one of us could be dealing with a family circumstance resulting from any number of equally tragic events and also have to face the unthinkable decision for their grandchild's future due to this 2019 revision of Section 12. They'll have to choose between selling their home and relocating or putting their grandchild in the foster care system. The current 90-day restriction would not only result in an accumulation of fines, but also basically force a quick house sale, very likely below fair market value, which would most certainly affect the resident's ability to purchase a suitable new home elsewhere. This is an unreasonable choice to force upon a member of our community, to cause economic hardship and unnecessary stress to an already unfortunate situation where someone is only trying to provide a safe, stable, loving home to a child with no other options. It's immoral. No one expects to be raising children all over again at retirement age. If a grandparent takes on that responsibility and is given full custody of a child, that child is now theirs. That child does not have another home to go to, and they are not a guest. That child should not be made to feel like a burden or the cause of their grandparent having to leave their home, friends, neighbors, and the life they've established in our community because Brookridge has an unreasonable rule for the reality of the world today. Brookridge is a close community with all of us looking out for one another. Based on any and all conversations I've had with my fellow residents, I don't see any of them supporting a rule that basically forces someone from their home because they choose to give their grandchild a decent life. I believe an exception clause needs to be added in the Brookridge deed restrictions to address the unfortunate reality of this situation that is affecting more and more of our friends and neighbors. This life circumstance amendment should allow for children below the age of 18 to reside in Brookridge if they are under the legal custody or guardianship of their grandparent who is an established Brookridge resident. I request the Board of Directors put this life circumstance exception amendment to the Brookridge deed restrictions on the ballot for our next election. Thank you.
Joanne Burns, Unit 4. I want to speak to you about Milton. Milton took a lot of homes in Brookridge. My carport, my lanai got wiped out. I have insurance. For those of you, and there's a lot of homes in here that have citizens. Citizens, among other ones, do not cover, under no circumstances, carports or lanais. And I'm asking the board to consider paying attention to our seniors that cannot afford right now to replace those carports. I don't understand, okay, why we need a car. I don't drive, okay, for one. I don't have a car, I don't drive. That carport was a wind tunnel. It lifted and took out the lanai. It took out my roof. I have a forever roof. It legitimately lifted my forever roof because it made a wind tunnel. Somebody said they caught, it looked like a tornado that took out the carport. Is that true? I don't know. I was in Alabama. But there's seniors in here that can't afford to eat, okay? Never mind have to worry about where they're getting the income to go and put up a carport now. I really think that we need to consider, okay, making us put a carport up if we don't want to. What is the sense of having carports if we don't want them? I'm sorry.
Joanne, I know what you're saying, and I believe, because I've been here a lot of years also, when a new home is being put up, the requirement is carport. Unfortunately, we can't really change that because that's a requirement that has been here in Brookridge for God only knows how many years. When you have a house put up, the carport goes on. Unfortunately, we had Milton, and I understand what you're saying because I wish there was a way that we can or could help a lot of our seniors in here that are by themselves, and we know this.
Right, and it's gonna take a long time to build up another one.
How to go about it, if anyone, residents, members have any suggestions on how we could possibly help your neighbors that are by themselves, widows, even by themselves, that takes money. It takes money
because
it's gonna take a lot.
When it rips up, it takes your entire roof.
I know, we had ours had gone to on our carport.
I have no idea. I put the claim in. a day after it happened and nobody's come out yet. Nobody's done anything. And I pay top dollar on my insurance and still there's nothing. I mean, they're not even coming out, they're not doing anything. I can't get any answers. But, I mean, I'm doing this on my own and it's hard. So if I'm having a hard time, I can't imagine what the seniors that are on a fixed income are doing. Okay, I'm just letting you know so that code enforcement is very well aware that this is happening. I still have all the pieces sitting on the front lawn because you can't take it down because they say you have to leave everything.
You have to wait until the, you know, and adjust or whatever, but Peter, those.
I know that,
All right, so Joanne, so just so you know, so everybody knows, anyone who has had damage on their house from the hurricanes, we are not going after anybody or setting any time limits to anybody. People have come and says, I'm putting a dumpster in my yard, can I, you know, because they're only allowed to be in there for 3 days. We're giving an unlimited amount of time. We're not pushing any issues because of the hurricane. So if you've had damage to your home, okay, don't get all upset and all worried about it. We're not going to go after you. We're not going to write you up violations because you have metal in your yard or your carport's not intact. Don't get all upset about it, okay? We're going to let you have as much time as you need. And as far as this, what you're talking about, eliminating carports, that's something that's going to have to be discussed between the board. So, okay, but just relax. You're okay.
Thank you. And do me a favor, please consider what she said about the grandkids in here. I'm in here almost 25 years. They've been called tunnel kids for years. There's kids in here, guys.
well, I'm not sure whether or not you're aware of the fact, but you can fill out the application, it's right online. It's gonna take forever because FEMA is still working on the prior hurricane. But you can apply, especially if you had any kind of housing damage. It will take a while for you to get it, but they'll offset whatever your insurance isn't gonna cover. Good, thank you. I was gonna say, I don't think that we can start taking the HOAs and I just don't think that we can do that at this time, especially with the budget the way it is. But, yeah, a fundraiser would be a good idea. If anybody has any ideas, I'd love to hear them. So.
Okay, if there's no other member comments, we're gonna close the meeting. Okay. It is now 25 after 9. I make a motion to close the meeting. Second, all in favor? All in favor? Aye. Thank you guys for coming out. Thank you very much.